When you looked at the schedule to start the season, did that game pop out at you as a great opportunity?
Oh, big time. We knew that was our chance to really gain some credibility across the country.
It was a special night for sure. Miami came in as the #1 team in the country and full of confidence.
And not only were #1, but they had been up there for a while and they had had some great teams there.
They won the national championship the year before, and when we saw they were on the schedule, everyone was excited.
We had played them a couple years earlier in the Orange Bowl, and were able to move the ball quite a bit and scored a lot of points. Unfortunately, that year we didn't stop them, and I think they scored about 50 points. So going into that game, we were confident, but we knew we had to play our best to beat them.
We won some big games, but we never played a #1, let alone beating a #1. LaVell's mantra, you're going to play like you practice. You're only as good as your preparation. So taking that to heart, I think everybody gave it their all.
Really what college football is all about. As a college football player, you want to be able to play in something like that. And so, as players, we were excited that we had that opportunity.
Even the questions from the media that week before, they would ask me, "You think you're going to win?" And I would say, "Absolutely, we're going to win." Guys mentally walking out on the field, we took the field like we owned the field. Miami was there, #1 team in the country, but we weren't going to take a backseat to anyone that day.
When it came to playing Miami, I don't think the expectations were all that high.
Let's stick it to these guys. They're not all that.
Tonight, we have the top-ranked Hurricanes of Miami University invading Provo, Utah to take on the 16th-ranked Cougars of Brigham Young University.
It was a night game, ESPN. Back then, that kind of meant something. That was the game that night.
The electricity in the air that night was special. It was different. The crowd was crazy. And we knew going in we had a chance.
They need just about the 40 from the backside hit. The ball is fumbled.
You turned it over a couple of times in the first quarter. Did that give you some gray hair?
Yeah, it did. Well, what little bit I had left.
We knew we were just beating ourselves, and they weren't stopping us. We were moving the ball at will against them, and we knew it would continue if we could just eliminate the mistakes.
Draw play. Salito loses the ball at the 21-yard line. McGuire, right side, he'll score.
Okay, it's just 7-0. I mean, we score some points at BYU. 7-0's nothing. Yeah, you put yourself in a hole like that against a good team. At times, it can be tough to overcome. But again, we had experience and we had guys that were confident and that knew we could play better than those first two series showed.
No one was panicking. Everybody was just regrouping really well and then looking to execute again.
I got out of trouble a lot that night with just a couple steps here or there, and tell quarterbacks all the time, you don't have to be fast, but you got to be quick in a small area. And when you're scared, you're a lot quicker. So with their pass rush, I just remember, eluding a couple guys, stepping up, sliding out. The linebacker came up, and Bellini did a great job of slipping behind him and found him right there in the corner, and it kind of got things going and got the crowd really into it, and the rest of the team, the momentum started turning, like you said.
Not only was he a phenomenal quarterback, he was like a coach on the field, and we knew he would put us in the right positions to win ball games. Luckily, he kind of has like an aw shucks type of personality, but you get him in a competitive environment, and he lets it go.
I think that focus and a mental mindset going into a game like that, you're all in. There's no holding back. This is it. Everybody's all in, and let's go get it. BYU's known for, let's kick it in gear and let's put a drive together. I mean, we throw the ball. That's what we do, and let's get out of bounds, work the clock and see if we can't get something before half. And that was really big going into halftime with a lead. Their defense is on their heels. They're tired. That altitude's kicking in, and they had to work, that last series right before half. And we come away with the score and able to take the lead. Now doubt's creeping into their mind, and they're starting to get a little winded. And you can see their offense. They're kind of chipping at each other. Balls underthrown or one's dropped, and guys are starting to get on each other. They're getting frustrated, and that that was big right going in before half with the lead.
So we're going to halftime. We're up, and that just added to the confidence, right? We can play with these guys. There ain't nothing we haven't seen.
At the time, I thought, man, We're hanging in there pretty good.
We got them right where we want them. If we take care of the ball, take care of what we're supposed to do, and keep getting after it, you know.
Down deep, I expected them to come out and be a lot tougher or whatever. Like maybe that we'd caught them a little flat or whatever, but we just hung in there and played very well, played great defensively is what we did.
What really stands out to me about that game is that our defense was the key.
Where we controlled everything was right up front. So Mark Smith, Pete Harston, Rick Wilson were penetrating or pushing back their All-Americans and just controlling that whole line of scrimmage. It just allowed us to do a lot of things that we wanted to do with that. I remember Rocky Beagle and I going in for a sack. I remember Rich Kafusi making tackles for losses. I remember our strong safeties making all those tackles out on the perimeter. And then Brian Mitchell, stride for stride with Randall Hill.
And Miami was driving. They were on their own half of the field, I think maybe their own 40-yard line, and they had a 4th and 1, and they went for it. And Rich Kafusi stuffed them.
He's the emotional leader of this defensive team. Watch, he gets small and then he gets big, head on short yardage. He makes the stop, a tremendous play by Kafusi.
When Rich, beat his man and stuffed their halfback in the backfield for a loss, it got the offense energized.
Now it's LaVell's turn to make the big decision right here. 4th and short.
You know, LaVell decided, hey, we're going for the win. Let's go for it. There's so many. You look back at key plays of the game. There's 4th down. There's the defense stopping on a 4th and 1.
Inside, and with that move, has the first down.
You know, that was another one of those key plays that if you don't get that, momentum may go the other way because they were a dangerous team. I mean, they had some guys, and if you let it get away from you, you could go in a hurry, and we were able to kind of fight and claw our way and stay in it and make more of those plays than they made.
Detmer gets away. Touchdown! Salado.
I just remember being almost like a spectator, just, watching Ty run around and elude defenders.
I felt the guy coming from the front side. I had no idea there was another one coming from behind.
I think the end came in totally unblocked or something. It looked like he was going to rip Ty right in two, and he kind of ducked underneath.
He jukes 2 tackles. They run into each other, right? Russell Maryland, I think another guy.
And when they hit, it was kind of like slow motion happened, where I remember thinking, oh man, I got lucky getting out of that one because I had no idea he was coming.
I don't know how he does all that, No one looks downfield better than him.
That was a huge play for us.
Fakes it to Conley. Oh, he had his man open, and he is going to be sacked by Mark Smith.
Our defense won that football game for us.
They came up with some stops that 4th quarter that reminiscent of the 84, 83 days where that defense really rose up and our guys rose to the challenge.
So we knew if anything was going to happen, it was going to happen that quarter. A lot of big plays had to be made. I just remember Irvin Lee.
Intercepted by Lee.
He was a freshman, true freshman, and he was playing back there in defense and against the #1 team in the country.
When Irvin did that, man, Irvin was doing stuff like that at practice all the time, but he was never the guy. And then he comes in and he just does what he did in practice, and he bats it away, but he's playing against Randall Hill, So Brian Mitchell was our man, right? He was our lockdown corner. He was the fastest guy on the team. But because he was doing his job, they were going to go to someone else, and they thought they could pick on this, guy that didn't play very much, this backup corner. And he just came through. It was awesome. It was a proud moment for everybody. So from the defense to the special teams to the offense, everyone came in and did exactly what it was designed to do, and then came through and executed, right?
Couldn't have been more proud of those guys because, you expect BYU to outscore an opponent, and those guys kept us in it all night and then won it at the end.
He's going to go for incomplete, knocked out by Irvin Lee. Randall Hill was the man he wanted.
The clock is running and we're just hugging each other. I love you, all this stuff.
And so many people had to play well for it to go off like it did. And to sit there on the sideline and really have it sink in that we just beat the #1 team in the country, and to watch this fans storm onto the field, it was a real adrenaline rush.
And I remember, you know, the crowd rushing the field, and I was thinking, man, I got to get to the locker room. The team's going to be in there. I'm going to be the last one in. I got to get in there. And I get up on the railing, and I shimmy to the tunnel, and I run up in there, and I was the only guy in the locker room for about 5 minutes. I'm like, man, I probably could have celebrated a little bit that night, but you know, it was kind of funny sitting around with nobody to celebrate with, and just you know, an exciting feeling for the whole program.
I remember it was 2 Tongan girls came and they picked me up off my feet. They picked me up off my feet and carried me around the field, you know. I was going, hey, this is great, you know. But just to see everybody else's reaction to it, I was going, man, must be a big thing, you know, to be the #1 team like that and do it in our house like we did.
It was, you know, one of those satisfying feelings, you know, where you're like, man, we did it, you know, we made it happen.
Well, it's just one of those unbelievable things. It was almost like a script out of Hollywood, you know, because the reality of it ever really happening like that wasn't all, you know, all that great, and except that it happened. And that's one of the great things about sports and about, you know, about football, that there's just some unexplained reasons why certain things happen. You know, I give up trying to figure it out.